Hi everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. This is The Widow's Might, a graceful journey. My name is Wita Ibifuro Ugbebo Ni Enajepo. I'm here, I'm excited, and thank you for opening your doors to me today. For those watching for the first time or tuning in for the first time, it's a Widow's Might, it's the graceful journey. It's a channel that I share my experiences in the last 12 years as a widow with 3 children. And I'm looking out for people who have had similar experiences. You have been bereaved of a loved one, a breadwinner. You have had to go through a divorce and all that goes with it, separation, relocating from a place and moving into another country, and you're realizing that, hey, this is a lot going on. You had to restart your life at a certain point. Those are the people I'm looking out for. The whole idea is to tell you that there is help out there. There is help. I chose the path of asking for help from God from the onset of my journey. And so that is from the angle that I'll be talking from. Today, I'll be talking to us about my Eureka moment. The moment where after you realize the suddenness in life, this man passes on. In less than 2 weeks, you have buried a person you have lived with for over 16 years. And you're sitting and asking, what next? How? You can't even wrap your head about anything. So my Eureka moment comes in. When I say Eureka moment, that's my me moment. The moment where I suddenly realize, girl, you get to get up and pick your handbag and walk through life. Where you have to put your mental faculty in order, plus your physical being, your looks in order, your spirituality, your children, the baggage that you carry, where you have to say, hey, it's happened, let's run. I'll tell you that in this video. So what happened? He passed on the 23rd of October in 2012. By November 1st, we have buried this man. That is barely 9 days. From there, this was school season for those in Nigeria. Everywhere in the world, November is school season. It's not a holiday. My children came for midterm break, and that's what they met. And they stayed back, buried their dad, and moved back to school. So at that time, I was working as a branch manager in a bank, in a very professional bank. That is a good bank. And I was heading a branch, but I was told to take some time off. The HR was quite liberal. Take your time. I started taking my time. I was in the office I took 2 weeks off first, then came to work, and then said, you know what, I'm taking my vacation for the year. So I had about 2 weeks holiday, so I added 2 weeks to that. Now, we made a trip. We already had a plan as a family to go for holiday at that Christmas, but my husband, in the day we were renewing his visa, which was the day he entered, a day before he entered, so that would be in October, before he passed, we got to the visa, the submission center. He said, Rita, I don't want my passport. I was like, why? He said, you always like to spend money for things that are not important. I don't want to go on this trip. I was like, Bennett. He said, take my passport out. He screamed at the center. I don't want to be in that. Well, this was a family application to renew. And so I didn't have a choice. I pulled out this passport. And yours truly didn't go on that trip with us. He passed, that a week after that decision he made. So those are some things in life that till tomorrow I can't explain, but I know for sure that we are what we say. We say things and they happen to us the way we say it as Christians. Okay, so I'm not about that here. So my point is, we went on a trip. We went on a 1 month trip, almost a month trip to UK after that incident. And guess what? I had my artificial nails. No, these are not artificial. Artificial nails. I had wig or weave on from the time he entered the hospital till when we went to that trip. So he passed on 23rd. A week to that time, I was carrying those things on my fingernails and hair. And I went to UK in that same thing by the 14th of December. By the 26th of December. Now, 24th of December, we had gone shopping with my children. And we were picking, on the Boxing Day, there's always sales. So we decided that we'll pick some items in the shop. and hide them. Those things we want, like especially for children. I was shopping for them basically, but my mind was not for me at that time. So we shopped. So when we saw good shoes and stuff for them, myself and my daughter, who was just 10 then, we will go and hide the particular items we want into for instance, take the girl thing to a boy section, hide it, so that by 26 Boxing Day will come and see if there will be knockdown sales. So that was what we did on 24th. Went home, had Christmas, stayed with my sister in the UK then and her family. Then on 26th we came back to the shop. There was queues, of course. People know those that day. There's going to be queue. People want to see what the rock bottom sale for, what they want to buy. And so my daughter and I went, and then we split. She was picking the things out. We'll meet again. What did you see? Did they change the price? Eventually, in the midst of this, I walked past Mark, the beauty shop. And as I passed, there were those big glass mirrors on this, just as you walk in any mall. And I noticed a figure. I passed and I was like, what was that? I went back. I saw a figure, grayed. The hair was like brownish gray. And I was looking like, I said, that's me? I was so shocked in how many weeks what had deteriorated to in my physical look. And I looked at my nails, everything was looking, when you have artificial nails, you haven't taken them off, you're not redoing them. So I stood there, rooted to the floor, and my daughter, I was expecting, she came. I said, hey, come. I said, see. He said, oh, that's you. That's how you've been. Mommy, you don't know that's how you've been looking since? I was like, wow. So why didn't you tell me? She just said, I don't know. Oh my God. I looked like a 75 or maybe an 80-year-old woman unkempt. So you know what? I went into the Mark's shop. That day, I'd not even had my bath. I went in. Now, I've been having sleepless nights since this thing happened. I had not slept for up to an hour in any night since the 23rd. Or more like 21st of November, of October. This is December 26th. That's like 2 months. I wasn't eating. I'm already a skinny person and I was looking like bone. The weave-on thread, everything was sticking out. And I was like, why didn't anybody tell me? But anyway, I went into the shop that day and I just told them I wanted a makeover. And I had a makeover on my face. Then I told my daughter, you know what, those things that we have picked, you know what, we are going to rearrange. Mom is going to buy something for herself. I wasn't buying it for myself, but I decided. So now, remember, I'm widowed. I'm saying, okay, black gowns will work because that's the natural thing. I went into Debenham. I went into different shops. I picked purple, orange, black, gold shoes. In fact, there was a gold dress that was in Debenham. It was in the Mannequin. So those ones, there was no rock bottom. There was no discount. I picked that dress for £125 as at that time. And I went and fitted in. I told Mommy, you're looking good. I suddenly had a shift in my brain. It was like that moment where you're like, I will do this thing and let the gates of hell come after me if they can. That was how I felt. I went in, I bought those shoes, those were block heels, wedges, colored, plus the bags, gowns, shawls, and I went back home after shopping that day, went home. My sister's children saw me. They are bigger than my children. They were like, Aunt Rita, what happened? You made them. I said, why didn't you guys tell me? I was looking so bad. And they told me, oh, Aunt Rita, we told our mom. And she was like, oh, leave her, let her, don't make it look, she's grieving, just let her go through some season. I was like, no. Then my mom had ordered for my sister to, prepare me to get some multivitamins. I came with some from back home. And I suddenly had an urge to eat. My sister was excited. My elder sister, she was like, wow, so Rita is bouncing back. So that was the end of day of 26th of December. I did the shopping for myself, good colors of shoes. I got black gowns just to fulfill all righteousness. And that was just a physical thing, but it affected my mind. It affected my spirituality. It was that moment I realized, hey, it's time to get up and pick from where he left and move on. This is life. You got to get used to it, girl. And you have the God factor. So for me, it was my moment of, not like a triangle. They said when there's going to be a crime, the crime triangle. It's not just a crime. I'm giving that as an example because I worked in the bank. So there must be a what do you call it, a conception of the crime. That's the criminal must have a conception. I need to get 100,000. I need this and this. There's that concept. How do I get it? He has a need. He conceives, what do I do? He's looking around for any opportunity to do the crime. That's the first place. Is a conception of the crime. He understands. He wants to. Then there is an opportunity. The branch manager forgets her vault key on her table, or some customer looked away and he saw money on the floor. Remember the conception of the crime, the opportunity, and the action itself. That's what happened to me. There has been a loss. Spiritually, I was struggling. I was trying to hold myself. Then there was a physical part of, I suddenly saw myself on that big mirror. Who is this girl? And I decided that was my Eureka moment. I went, and now my mind is now working with my physical. The spiritual has been there. I've been holding on spiritually. But the moment I saw myself on that mirror and it registered in my head, I'm like, no, this is not Eureka. And I picked up myself. Thank God I had some money. I bought things for myself. I went to Boots. I bought some, cosmetics. And I told my children we're going back to Nigeria. We're going to start our lives. Now, remember also, if you've been watching my video, that I've my video before now, my children and I've been talking to them about what has happened. So I didn't just let them your dad passed. No. So I tell them this, even during the funeral. I remember I said that when they were taking the hearse was moving this coffin, I said, that's your dad taking his last journey. I was always carrying them. We were very close and they were young. And they became my talking discussion partners. We shared everything. So in that place, when I had that moment of Eureka, I decided to go buy myself new things, did the makeup, and then I got back home. I started eating. I got me back. I don't know how, but I started eating. I had appetite. And I made up my mind, it's time to return to church. The last time I went to church on a weekday fellowship, it was terrible. Somebody told me in that state, Tabitha, you're looking good. I almost punched her on her face. But this time, my mind, my body, and my spirit were together. So I was like, we're coming back to church. We're going to walk. So when I was walking back then, I remembered one day in December before my trip, I asked my team, end of day, I said, are we in 2012? And I saw their faces. Because I was losing my mind. And the next day, my supervisor called me, said, Rita, are you okay? That you want to take a break? Blah, blah. Two people called me. I was like, I don't know. But when I knew, they told me that I was asking if we were in 2012. Sometimes after work, I'm driving home. And I don't know where I'm driving to. Am I going back to my former house? Am I going to my parents' house? Am I going to head office? But I had that route. And I sometimes I will slow down in the center of the road and I will hear a sound of a honk of a car or a truck. Bah! Then it will jolt me out. I may have been on the wrong direction. I'll have to come make a turn to go back home. There were those moments. Sleeplessness could cost you so much. You're losing your mind. You're just taking care of the young. You have young children. So I'm taking care of young people, my children. But I wasn't focusing on me. And there was nobody particularly who was standing by, Rita, do this, Rita, don't do this, Rita, eat. No. For me to look like that. And nobody told me I was looking like that because they were concerned about my grieving, about my mental state. They don't want to look materialistic. But thank God for that 26th of December day that I passed by Mark beauty shop and I saw my reflection in the mirror, and it just jolted me out of the frenzy. I just suddenly realized, no. So I have that day was the beginning of the day I decided I will walk this walk. And I will walk the walk of widowhood boldly. And I will go back to my job. I will go back to my church. I will face, at some points, I can't face people in the face. You know when the Bible says your husband is your covering as a woman who is married, I knew it because I was feeling naked when I'm in the public. And like I before I used to be a front row sitter. I go to work in a meeting, I sit in front. In those first months after the burial, and even at that time I'd done this, my Eureka moment, I was still going on. Then suddenly I was like, just go to the front. I might wear my short clothes, no, who cares? I go to church, I'm told, you're wearing black. I'm like, yeah, you're wearing black. I'm wearing black. It's black. And I'm wearing this purple shoe or orange shoe on top of the black. And I'm like, okay, tell me if I can wear colored shoes because I'm widowed. I had the zeal. I had the power. I had the desire to live. And that desire, because it's me who is holding the umbrella for me and my 3 children, that desire was so strong that I was able to say, people, let's live life. Let's live life. I became very intentional about how I looked, about how I carry myself, even though you're widowed. I became intentional about what I eat. I became intentional about where I go. So I've seen in that season, when we returned in January, I remember there was a year after that, my brother, I had moved to another church, the Living Faith Church. And my brother said, Rita, I want you to meet somebody. He wanted me to meet another woman who had been widowed for about 10 years. He said, you won't believe she didn't come out of it. She's still beggarly. She's still saying, my husband died 10 years after. So my brother didn't tell her I was bereaved. So this didn't happen a year plus after my husband passed. I had moved to another church. So my brother said, Rita, I need to meet. So we went to see this woman. I greeted her. She was still, in that grieving state. This is 10 years. So when she was talking, I don't know what it is to lose a husband and all that, I was just looking at her. Then, when she finished talking, my brother was there. I told her that, Madam, my sister, God is our help. And he said he's the husband of the widow and the father of the fatherless. Would you not trust him? So she said, it's easy for me to say. I said, okay, you know what? I lost my husband also just 1 year ago. She opened her eyes. She was like, what? She looked at me. I said, I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have a man friend. Let me just not go there. The only thing I have is I have a job. And so I threw myself into that job because I know my children must eat. We had built our life to a certain level. I saw that and said, look, if we have to maintain this lifestyle, or at least not to drop, I must have to pick my job. I must have to do my job. So my going to work enabled me to take my mind off the grieving a little bit. And I was more because I had some in-laws were not very good. So I had to build a defense around myself. My defense was spiritually, it was mentally and physically that I just discovered. And this woman said, wow. I said, it is possible, my sister. That business you're doing, please throw yourself into it. Don't remember the loss. Remember that there is God and he's the father of the fatherless. He said he will not leave you or forsake you. That is his word. And so people, I saw my Eureka moment, back to my Eureka moment. I saw the moment and I grabbed it. I didn't relent. I didn't let anybody tell me, this black dress is too short. I didn't care. I didn't care, because right now you're in charge. In fact, when I returned back home in January of that in 2013, I called my brother-in-law, two of them, they're both lawyers. I said, please, I want to change my children's name, because we already had that plan before my husband passed. He was still dilly-dallying, but his family already knew. So they were like, oh, wait, are you in charge? You're their mom. So that kind of talk encouraged me to know that now I'm in charge. I'm in charge. And when you're in charge, you want to be in charge intentionally. You want to be in charge and make the right decisions. One of the examples of making the right decision was when we that year we traveled to UK. We went to we were queuing up to go on the London Eye. You know, the big wheel, yeah. And while we were queuing for like an hour, because it was the season, and my daughter, she was 8, she called. It was almost our turn to go into our own, cage. She said, Mommy, have you calculated the cost? I was like, how do you mean? He said, all of us are going to go into this thing. And I looked at her, I said, oh my God. I said, yeah. Okay, so, Jill, first of all, I told her, I said, you know what, this thing has been there for years. The fact that we're climbing on it tonight is not going to make it drop one. And secondly, God is with us. Don't you believe? Daddy just died. God is with us. We are here. So don't worry, we'll be fine, okay? We'll be fine. My very calculative daughter, she was just 8. So that is being in charge, saying the right things to your children, to the people around you at the right time, encouraging them. Don't be the one that is so bent on grieving that you forget that the other people needed help. So people, I'm here again to share this journey. It hasn't been an easy one, but it has been easy because God has helped. Those moments, now I didn't tell you anything spiritual about this Eureka moment, but it was a moment where I've been praying, I've been spiritual, but that day happened and I didn't just say, okay, I'll just cut my hair. No, I woke up and I picked me pieces around me. I mended the ones that needed to be mended, threw out the one that needed to be thrown out, and I faced life doggedly. I knew it's time to face life. And God help me, we have faced life for 12 years and more, and I have raised children who have become like pillars around me, God helping me. I have changed my career. I have changed. I'm in my late 50s, but hey, I'm not looking at because God helped me and I am intentional. I know where I go to for help. I don't mistake my help for man. I don't. So I'm encouraging everybody, please be intentional. Know your Eureka moment, the moment where you're breaking out of that obscure position. You're breaking out, and you can break out, girl. You can, even men, you can break out. You can break out. I'm here to tell you, I broke out and I haven't looked back for one day. There have been challenges. Let me not lie to you. There has been roadblocks. There have been bottlenecks. There has been crossroads where I'm like, what do I do? You don't have any husband or any partner to say, hey, can we do this like that? But God has always showed up. I may have made 1 or 2 mistakes in the past or even going on, but I know He always brings me back. He said He's the husband to the widow, and so He's always there. So I would like to encourage every one of us to be intentional, to find those Eureka moments in things that may not be a loss. For instance, you lost a job, you're penury, you're eating hand to mouth, and suddenly you got that excitement. You see that thing, maybe that movie that you watched that just tells you, hey, you can do it. You wake up, you change your clothes, you have a bath, you go to the gym, you go out, you take a long walk, you listen to music loud, you dance, you shake, you're jumping. Those things, they relieve stress. They bring your mind back on track so that you are not going to let yourself die before your time because you got bereaved or you lost a job or a separation or some divorce. We will still have to get ourselves back. So I'm here to tell everybody, there is that moment that you find and you take advantage of it. That was mine. The December 26th, Boxing Day of 2012. I decided on that day. In fact, when I came back to church in January, the people that saw me at the funeral or saw me when that Wednesday that I came for midweek service, they were like, in fact, when I walked in, I had added some weight. I was looking brighter. I went, wow, Sister Rita is back. Someone said that, and I said, it's not like I'm back, but I'm better. Yeah. And that was how the journey started. You think I'm not a super girl, never been, but there's been grace. So, guys, this is the widow's might. It's a graceful journey. You're welcome. And see you again in my next video. God bless. Take care.